What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of FTW Fans Talk Wrestling. There's a wrestling reference in there for all the real wrestling fans. They'll get it. On the show, what we do is we're going to take all the things that have happened the past week of wrestling.
It's been a long week.
It's been a very long week.
6 months long.
6 months long. For our first episode, we're going to be talking about all the big things that have happened from January 2014 up till now, June 2014. You know, and we're not just going to cover WWE. We might start with WWE, but there's going to be indie stuff. There's going to be TNA occasionally. We're going to have all kinds of stuff that have happened in the world of wrestling. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off first simply. Obviously, the biggest news starting the year was we got the return date for the Animal Batista. Now, when Batista was first coming in, like the announcement of Batista, I was actually really excited. I was interested to see what he was going to do, how he was going to react with the current crop of superstars, because he'd been gone for 4 years.
Yeah, I was cautiously optimistic about it. Like, I wouldn't say excited, but curious.
Curious is a good way to put it. No, yeah, I know you've never been the biggest fan of Batista.
On a scale of 1 to excited, I was about as happy as a dead fish.
He doesn't like Batista. Okay, so initially, you hear that Batista's coming back. What's your first thought?
Initially, I think the same as you guys were thinking is, you know, where is Batista going to fit in? Starting now, moving on towards WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Who are they going to pair Batista up with? The one thing that got me excited is that before he even debuted, they started setting up for him to have a rivalry with Alberto Del Rio, a guy who knows how to carry a match.
Yeah, which ultimately went nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a singles match against him at Elimination Chamber?
Yeah.
Alberto Del Rio was Batista's Walmart greeter.
Welcome to Walmart, get your shit and get out. Which, actually, by the end of the Royal Rumble, we were all saying, because the three of us were here watching the Royal Rumble, and lo and behold, it became the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen.
It by far was the worst pay-per-view WWE has done since December to Dismember.
Which was in 2006. 2007.
Yeah.
Something like wait.
I mean, you think about it. The pre-show match. The New Age Outlaws win the tag team titles.
Yeah.
Hear that, WWE? They win the tag team titles.
Yeah, currently, if you hear anything on WWE TV, apparently the New Age Outlaws were never tag team champions. There's been, 3 tag team champions?
According to JBL, 3 tag team champions.
Which has been the Shield,
the Rhodes,
and
the Usos.
And now the Usos. So
I'm really curious where the Usos won them from.
They found them. Just like when
they just found them?
Just like when Randy Orton won his first World Heavyweight title. Just found it.
No, he beat Steven Richards.
Oh, yeah.
Just scavenger hunt at SummerSlam.
He beat Chris Benoit. The Usos beat the Outlaws.
Yeah, so you have that match, which was a fairly decent match, and then you open the pay-per-view with what was by far the best match of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. Yeah, and what I like is that this was a culmination of months of feuding, and I felt like it was downplayed because they gave it the opening spot on the card.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
So going into the Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, like what were your overall thoughts?
I was excited.
Very.
They, at the time, and still today, but Daniel Bryan, we'll get into that later. At the time, they were like 2 of my favorites. The only person I liked better than either of them was CM Punk.
They were really downplayed because they were the opening segment, their opening match of the Royal Rumble, one of the most exciting pay-per-views by far.
Should be.
For me personally, I'm always excited when the Royal Rumble comes.
Absolutely.
This was the first pay-per-view other than WrestleMania I had bought in years. And you know, to have this match open the Rumble, I was looking forward to things progressing through the show.
Right. It felt like it set the stage to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Something else I wanted to mention. That match was like, besides, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, besides Bray Wyatt versus Kane in the Ring of Fire match. That was Bray Wyatt's first big singles match.
I think you're right. Like he'd had a spattering of singles matches where he was destroying R-Truth. Kofi Kingston, I think Heath Slater a couple times. You know, he had his squash matches, and this, you know, other than SummerSlam of last year when he faced Kane.
The Ring of Fire match was, not to get too off track, but was disappointing because the fire limited what those two could do.
Obviously, the opening to the Royal Rumble was spectacular. Having the Outlaws win on the pre-show, having Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt have the match that they did, set the tone.
And I think it was a mistake to have them open the show, because I think on how great their match was, and I'm not saying it was like the 5-star match that everyone had been waiting for, but the fact that they put on a super solid match that was really well done, really good storytelling there. I think it set the bar way too high for the other matches that were on the card.
Yeah. And I personally, I don't know about the two of you, but I can't remember any other singles matches from that show.
I watched it.
I remember because I'm going to bring up what happened next.
Okay.
I watched it Monday.
Okay.
On the network, and I can't remember any other matches besides Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan in the Royal Rumble.
Well, we're going to go to our resident indie guy, Kevin Hawk here. He's going to tell us what else happened on the Royal Rumble.
The biggest BS excuse for a match that the WWE has ever done.
Oh, I know exactly where he's going with this.
Brock Lesnar versus The Big Show.
Yeah.
Which was Chair Shot City 2014.
That's
all it was.
It wasn't a match.
The fact that Paul Heyman was still trying to put over the fact that Brock Lesnar was a big name in WWE.
Which he's not.
Which he hasn't been a big name in WWE since 2004.
And I'm sorry, Brock Lesnar supporters, but it's true.
Yeah.
There's just no debating that fact.
He was, he went on to do UFC. He's not even well known in UFC anymore. Okay?
He hasn't been relevant since 2010.
Yeah. So to have him come back, and his biggest feuds to that date being John Cena and Triple H, it was like, okay, what are they setting up for here? And they literally have him beat the Big Show for 15 minutes with the chairs.
If they wanted to book it that way, what I would have done, armchair booking, by the way.
Yeah. Literally his. It's couch, but
arm couch booking. Anyway, what I would have done is instead of having a match, just have Big Show say, "Hey, at SummerSlam we're gonna fight. And I'm gonna knock you out because you come back and you think you're hot shit, and you're not. And I'm the Big Show, and I'm gonna punch you in the face."
But it wouldn't have led up to SummerSlam.
Royal Rumble.
This guy.
See, he watched it Monday. He thought it was SummerSlam.
Hasn't even happened yet. That's like
we haven't even reached SummerSlam yet.
He's really excited for SummerSlam.
I think you mentioning Brock
Thomas Wolfe, by the way.
Yeah. No, you mentioned Brock Lesnar's previous rivalries, and that got me thinking back.
Yeah, and like you were saying, they booked it wrong. We're not going to sit here and we're not going to say, oh, we know how to write better than the WWE writers, because we're sitting on a couch talking to a camera. Okay, this is on YouTube. And so we're not going to say that we can write better than WWE writers, but taking taking that into consideration, I feel like we are not the only ones who can say we would have done it different.
Well,
we're not the only ones who can say that was the lousiest excuse for a piece of garbage match anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing it was used for was to try and get Brock Lesnar over. Like, he needed to be touted stronger. I wouldn't mess with Brock Lesnar in a fight.
I honestly think they did well enough alone. The multitudes of time that they had him beat up Mark Henry.
Yeah, but
that's two things I would have done.
Here's the problem.
Good job.
Brock Lesnar can't wrestle anymore. He thinks he's in a UFC fight.
I don't know where the issue has come from, like when he left after WrestleMania 20 to now. I mean, he still bumps well. And he's still not opposed to being, like, chucked across the ring, as we saw about the Big Show.
Taking one of the best Beals ever.
Honestly, that is the only thing. That was the only thing that legitimized a potential Big Show Brock Lesnar match, was that Brock Lesnar, like a champ, I'll give him this, took that Beal from the Big Show across the ring, and
that Monday Night Raw segment
fucking sold the shit out of it.
That 30-second moment on Monday Night Raw was better than their match.
So good job, Brock, on old school Raw, being tossed across the ring by the Big Show.
Randy Orton WWE Championship match.
Why did I forget that?
I think it was
Here's the thing.
Was it Orton versus Cena again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Orton versus Cena again. And
I didn't remember Cena Orton 40.
WWE, this is a problem. If hardcore fans can't remember that your two biggest stars,
your faces of the company,
if they can't remember that they wrestled for the biggest prize ever in WWE, you got a problem.
And here's the sad thing. I've been watching wrestling for 15 years. I started watching in '99, so I have literally watched the beginning until now the careers of John Cena and Randy Orton. And when I don't give a shit about their WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at
for the 90th time
at the Royal Rumble of all pay-per-views, stop. Please. Just stop.
I'm begging you.
It's not necessary.
I will give you money.
While Cena Orton Infinity is it's not interesting anymore. I do understand why WWE looks at them as their top guys and wanted one of them to fight for this prestigious unified belt. It's because they're the two guys who have been around. They're the modern day Rock and Austin.
They're
without the interest.
They're established stars, which in WWE writers' eyes bring legitimacy to their titles.
Yeah, and you have to give them credit. They tried, and I think it was because after the whole Big Show Lesnar debacle, the crowd was so dead.
Yeah.
That nothing they were doing was generating
that was
any
literally
interest.
right after.
I think so. I don't know.
There might have been a Divas match in there. I think AJ defended the title against Brie Bella.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yes.
Somebody tell us.
Yes.
Somebody tell us in the comments section.
AJ, who did AJ maybe defend the butterfly title against?
Who did she make tap out to that Black Widow spank me move?
Yeah. Who?
I'm pretty sure it was Brie Bella. That's
probably.
Who besides CM Punk tapped AJ's ass? Oh yes.
All right,
okay. Anyway,
and they realized like their less than buzzworthy match wasn't working, and I think they realized that they had a really crappy thing just happen, and they had to try and salvage the show.
Yeah, and obviously I couldn't remember the match, so I remember that moment though because I remember all of us talking that they had taken everything that we didn't like and they actually kind of made it interesting towards the end.
Well, none of us were paying any attention to the match until that point.
Yeah,
right.
And I honestly can't remember what spot it was, but I specifically remember going, "Oh my God, they're doing something different. They're not following the same Randy Orton, John Cena pattern. They're doing something." And I got interested the last maybe half the match.
I really like John Cena's half Nelson neck breaker move.
That's a beautiful move. John Cena, please keep doing that.
I understand why you're not doing it against Bray Wyatt, but
hell, do it against Bray Wyatt. Are you freaking kidding me? So obviously another match that we were very, should have been good, but obviously we've seen it so many times that there's only so much that the two of them can do. Now, on to the main event.
Which is, year after year after year, I call it my favorite match in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
The Royal Rumble match is my favorite match WWE does because you get to see the combo pairings that you don't normally get to see happen in the ring. You get to see 12 guys like they're in a battle royal, but then you get to see one-on-one segments between people, and it gives a really good chance for certain people to shine.
This was the Shield's first Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't. In my head, there was really nothing exciting. Another thing I wasn't excited about the Royal Rumble.
Wait your turn.
The first main roster appearance of Alex Rusev.
Alexander.
That is just now Rusev.
Yeah.
And in a couple months, he's just gonna be Ru.
Just like Cesaro's just gonna be O.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. At that current point, I was not excited to see Alexander Rusev in any way, shape, or form, because if he bored me on NXT, which is hard to do, he was going to bore me on WWE TV. At that point. We'll get into that later, because I kind of
I hadn't seen
like
Rusev on NXT. So when he came out and was doing spin kicks and shit, I thought it was pretty cool.
Now, yeah, okay, and here's one thing. Kevin and I, we were talking. I can't remember when it was, but we decided we wanted to look up where Rusev got his training. He was trained by Rikishi and Gangrel.
Yeah.
Down in there.
That's legit.
Rusev trained there.
That's why he does such a good super kick thing.
Yeah.
Kick.
Yeah,
You learned that from Rikishi.
You learned that from Rikishi. When a 400-pound fat man can do a super kick, you're gonna learn that shit. And I've noticed he's got a lot of real quick, like, he's big, but he goes into things very stocky and then moves things really fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's always been a Gangrel thing.
I credit that to his martial arts training.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's a guy who is well versed in multiple different martial arts.
Oh yeah.
So
which adds credibility to his ability.
These are all qualities I normally like in a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge martial arts fan, so if you're a martial arts wrestler, that's points to me.
Yeah. Here's where I'm getting at not being excited about Rusev being in the Rumble. Rusev is a guy coming from NXT, just coming back after a fairly serious injury, if I remember right. So
he hadn't been around for a little bit.
Not a lot of momentum on riding on Rusev in NXT, but him being the NXT guy that gets the spot in the Rumble. Because if you think, like, the guy who's coming up and establishing himself really well, Sami Zayn, should have been the guy to be in the Rumble. The established Adrian Neville should have been the guy to be in the Rumble.
Hell,
Mr. NXT Bo Dallas should have had another shot in the Royal Rumble.
The guy who was the NXT champion, if anyone, should have been the first choice to be put into the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
Rusev just kind of came out of left field, and it's like...
They didn't even have Lana yet.
No. And it was very random, because, you always have those mystery spots, which this year, the only real, like, I can't believe they're in the Royal Rumble was Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash was probably the only, like...
I marked out for Big Day.
Oh my god, I can't believe they're back.
I would say JBL too. Kind of.
JBL was more of a comedy spot, though.
Yeah.
That wasn't, like Kevin Nash
I
actually...
expected JBL to clothesline everyone in the ring before getting eliminated, though.
That should
He lasted... He was in there a shorter amount of time than Santino.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, when his music hit, he was a surprise.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, that was
okay.
that moment where everyone was
Okay.
what? JBL?
It's like, JBL... Yeah. Because
I was excited.
Because that was my reaction. It was like, oh, JBL, clotheslines for everyone.
We had a couple of, surprises with JBL. We had Kevin Nash. We had the lackluster come in of Rusev. We weren't really sure what we were going to go with that.
And, man, the crowd was hot for Daniel Bryan the whole Rumble.
I feel so bad for Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, okay.
I want to say that.
I was going to comment on that.
I forgot about that, but now that you say it, yes, absolutely.
I listened to Stone Cold's podcast, the Steve Austin Show.
I don't.
And he had the best comment on that is, why would you put someone who is so loved as Rey Mysterio in a spot that people expected to be Daniel Bryan? If anything, that spot should have
been Rusev.
No. Here's the thing. It shouldn't have been Rusev, because why would some random dude from NXT get the 30 spot? It should have been Wade Barrett.
Yes.
Yes.
That-
who
and
was
Daniel
slated to
Bryan's
be in the Rumble.
And Bryan's music should have hit.
Just to piss people off more. It should, Daniel Bryan's music should have hit. Then it should have changed to Wade Barrett. He should have said he had some bad news for us, and Wade Barrett should have been the 30th man in the Rumble. Because then all of that heat that was on poor Rey Mysterio would have been used for something.
Yeah, the number 30 spot, the crowd was so hot for Daniel Bryan, and when he hadn't come out by the time number 29 was there, everyone, including most of us who were here watching it, thought the number 30 spot was going to be Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, Ray, we love you, but we forgot you were in the Rumble.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing: is they changed so many things about the Rumble. We forgot a lot of the people that were in the Rumble.
And that moment, 30 hits, here comes Ray, and the crowd eats him alive.
The crowd destroyed Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, who has been wrestling since the 90s, didn't know what to do when the crowd just tore him apart.
I will play slight devil's advocate for WWE, and I don't think they expected the crowd to be that hot for Daniel Bryan. They expected the crowd to be that hot for Batista. And in that view,
That's true.
In that view, they thought it wouldn't matter who number 30 was because everyone was going to be gung-ho for Batista.
Here's where I'll differ from your point, though, is that if the fans were expecting Daniel Bryan, there is no way that WWE could not have known that people would be hot for Daniel Bryan, because leading up to TLC in December, they had the ceremony where they put both the titles on the ring and lifted them up above. They chanted for Daniel Bryan the whole time. They didn't give a shit about Cena. They didn't give a shit about Orton. Obviously, we've already established that. They chanted for Daniel Bryan. So if you weren't going to get Daniel Bryan in the title picture, how could you not imagine that they're going to be wanting Daniel Bryan to get that shot at WrestleMania by winning the Royal Rumble?
Well, yes. It's just that they expected Batista to be as big of a deal as Daniel Bryan actually is.
WWE, I think... what he's saying is, I think WWE, put the cart before the horse.
As far as Batista being in the Rumble, I wasn't excited for him to be in it because I had that feeling like, oh crap, is he going to come back and win the Rumble?
Well, let's face it. The promo package for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Oh
Here
my
comes
God.
the Royal Rumble. It's the Royal Rumble. Anything can happen at the Royal Rumble. Here's the numbers of the Royal Rumble. And then cue Batista.
Yeah, it's a dead give. It's going back to 2009.
They should have queued Daniel Bryan's theme song just to fuck with everyone even more.
Yeah,
No,
think about it.
But the
year Orton wins the
Me
Rumble.
and Kevin were talking about this. The year Orton won.
They do the Royal numbers thing again,
Yeah.
like they do every year, and then cue
Orton's music, and it was like,
I wonder who's going to win this year.
They telegraphed the shit out of that. Because then Orton wins, and it's like, oh, we probably should have known.
And then he didn't do the right thing for the Pyro.
But Batista, I was interested to see what he was doing. I was really scared to have him win. I was actually pulling, me and a couple of people, we were pulling for CM Punk.
Yeah.
We thought it could be CM Punk.
Yeah, and it was great because he made it to the Final Four.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
And then they had the Final Four moment. They had that stare down, and it was Sheamus and Roman Reigns and Batista and CM Punk. And they had that moment, and the crowd was starting to lose their shit because they realized CM Punk, who's was at the time, going to be honest, the most over guy in the Rumble. Who'd been in the Rumble the longest. Then
he
Roman
was
Reigns,
number one.
And then going over to Roman Reigns now. Roman Reigns is in the other corner. And here's the cat in this corner over here that
He's in the middle of the ring.
Broke Kane's record for the most eliminations in a single Royal Rumble. The crowd was hot for Roman Reigns.
Having Roman Reigns get that acknowledgement, I thought was great. Because Kane had the record since
2001.
2001.
I don't think that's the kind of record that needed to stand forever.
Exactly. I actually expected it to happen way before 2014. But to have someone who I wasn't initially excited when he first came in, to have him prove me wrong and do as much as he did and be as impressive as he was, I was like, awesome. I'm all for it. I was on the bandwagon. If Punk wasn't gonna win, I wanted Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Punk
Given those 4 guys, that's my order. Is
Punk,
Roman Reigns, and then the other 2 guys could fuck off.
He doesn't like Sheamus either.
Not really. I mean,
He hates Sheamus.
I don't hate Sheamus. Don't
You
get me wrong.
dislike Sheamus.
He's just
very
boring.
much.
I dislike Sheamus as a face.
Yeah, exactly. As a
Okay.
babyface, he's boring as crap.
So we get the elimination of Punk.
By
Damn it.
corporate Kane,
By corporate
who had already been eliminated.
Which I felt was like corporate Kane didn't need to be in the Rumble.
Yeah.
And on top of that, why would he stay out for as long as he was?
So he could do that to Punk.
It
Right.
didn't help at all. People were wondering why corporate Kane, who is a monster, why is he just like laying outside the ring? Obviously he's gonna do some shit. The referee should have sent him back.
Right.
He was hiding between the commentary tables.
I'm not opposed to people being eliminated and then eliminating someone else.
I mean, let's be honest. One of the most infamous Royal Rumble moments. Austin gets eliminated in '97, still wins the Royal Rumble anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. Like, Taker did that to Maven, and it was great.
That was one of the most beautiful moments in Royal Rumble history.
I don't like the way
Sorry.
that one was done.
Yeah.
I think
Nobody liked the way it was done because it was done to Punk. And he
it
was
was
the
done
guy.
to Punk.
I
He
still
was the guy
feel-
that we
I-
all had our money on at that moment.
I still feel like it was unnecessary.
Right, it was unnecessary,
absolutely.
and it was handled so sloppily because Kane did just stand out there waiting.
Yeah. If anything, Kane shouldn't have been in the Rumble. He should have made an appearance
Right there at the end.
as like, you know, okay, here comes Kane, part of the Authority, wanting to see who's going to WrestleMania, and have him screw over Punk. It would have made so much more sense. Obviously, people would have been like, oh, wait, here comes Kane. They would have suspected something, but it would have been less obvious to eliminate Punk at the very end.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Punk gets eliminated. Everyone's money is on Roman Reigns. Then Sheamus gets eliminated, and we're like, oh my god, Roman Reigns and Batista. What is, you know, we were fearing and hoping and, like, sad and happy all at the same time because Punk's gone. Bryan's not in it. You know, you've got Roman Reigns, who a lot of people are like, he may not deserve it yet, but I'd love to see him do it.
Well,
Yeah,
the crowd was so pro Reigns because he wasn't Batista.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the crowd had every bit to go behind Roman Reigns because he had that great showing at Survivor Series the previous year with all the eliminations that he got, and then getting the breaking Kane's record.
Yeah.
In the Rumble, he had so much momentum as a guy who is the closer of matches.
Yeah. It would have been a bigger accomplishment for Roman Reigns than it was for Batista. So Batista wins the Rumble, so we are now set. We know that at WrestleMania, we're getting Randy Orton versus Batista.
And here's the thing: then the Raw's post Royal Rumble, people started cheering for Randy Orton.
Yes.
Because they knew he was going against Batista.
Yeah. And that's where the Batista thing really screwed it up, because they were expecting people to want Batista to destroy Randy Orton and be champion. But when they realized, especially with how horrible of a performance Batista gave in the Rumble,
What, gassed after like 3 minutes?
he came in, he threw like 3 clotheslines and was like out of breath. More people were like, okay, at least we know Randy Orton can carry a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen Batista have a match yet. The Royal Rumble was his first match back. We should have been able to see what Batista was capable of before going, oh shit, he's in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing we got was a powerbomb to Del Rio on Raw.